But let's just talk about books in general, seeking knowledge, reading. That I think reading now has become a dead form of, not media, but just a dead form of anyone passing some time. I don't think people read anymore, and they definitely don't write anymore. Smartphones have put pain to that, and tablets and whatnot. So, what are your thoughts on that?
As for the books over my right shoulder, then they're generally books of hadith. There's some Arabic books there, Fath al-Bari, and other than that, um, books of hadith and reading those books. Let's talk about reading in general. You're 1000% right that people are reading less and less and less and less. And it was actually a book which brought me to Islam, or the correct understanding of Islam and stuff. You know, at the beginning, there, I don't know if you remember, but YouTube wasn't really a thing, or it was just where you put pictures of your babies biting each other's fingers and stuff like that, and
Status updates.
status updates and stuff. And YouTube was a small thing, you know, talking sort of 15 years ago kind of thing. Um,
Oh, I was talking about Facebook. Sorry,
no, we're talking about sort of on
YouTube.
YouTube and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, because
Sorry.
that's generally where people get their lectures and stuff from. So that media wasn't even around at that time. But reading is, you're exercising your mind. And some of us, we exercise our bodies, and we don't exercise our minds. And reading opens your mind, reading expands your vocabulary, reading gives you a good understanding, a firm understanding. And genuinely, if you have a person who reads and another person who doesn't, and even teachers will tell you this, that if you have two children of a similar level of intelligence and one of them reads and one of them doesn't, it is clear night as day which one reads. That child will be sharper. That child will have a better grasp of the language. They will have better skills, problem solving. They will be miles ahead of the kid that is not reading. So reading in general is really important. Islamic reading is add another layer on top of that.
So compare that to watching a YouTube video then, because now there's so much content out there. How does that compare? Can't I just watch a YouTube video instead of reading a book?
You know, some people, they say, oh, I learn better through lectures and I learn better through listening and stuff. That's because you probably don't read enough, and your mind is, it's like any body, muscle of the body. If you haven't worked something out for many years, it's going to be weak, and you can only do a little bit, and then you're going to have to stop. But then if you keep doing it, you keep exercising it, you get better and better, stronger and stronger, and you're getting more and more, you're lifting more, whatever. The mind is exactly the same. If you don't exercise it, it goes to sleep. Through reading, that's how you exercise the mind, through reading. If you don't exercise it, it goes to sleep. You won't be able to do much. So reading like 1 or 2 or 5 pages is so much better than a lecture. In general, you find in a lecture, because someone's speaking, there's a lot of explanation going into it, so you don't cover you kind of whiz through topics, and you know, especially in short reminders, there's not really much there. In a book, you know, you can go deep into something
At your own pace.
and it's at your own pace. You can go back if you don't understand it, whatever. Going through a book is generally, you know, the best thing to do. Generally, read it. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with listening to lectures. They have their place, but reading absolutely must have its place in your routine. So those books are books of hadith. There's books of usul al-hadith, and other than that, and a few a couple of small commentaries on the Quran. I'm also not a fan of just collecting books for the sake of collect. Some people, they collect them and they have thousands of books, and
They just make them look nice.
it looks amazing behind you. But I think that, again, that's a form of like showing off. Oh, look at me, you know. And they spend literally thousands. These books are not cheap. They spend thousands of pounds on there, and it just looks great. But I think that to have a smaller collection and to kind of read them, but that stuff is not stuff that you would
pick out and
pick
read.
out and just sit there and read and read and read. A lot of it is more reference material when you're researching something. For example, if I'm researching a talk or something and I want to know, right, okay, what's the understanding of that hadith? The internet has made a lot of it redundant, but there's nothing like going through a book and you know, it really helps.
So what about just normal